Hello, Memorial football fans. I'm Charles Strayer.
And I'm Megan Haugen.
And welcome back to Sideline Snapshot. We're here for week 2 as we preview the Chippewa Falls game and go over our game against Hudson. Let's get right down to it.
At the game at Hudson this past Friday, the Abes came out swinging in the first half.
Yeah, so I think all eyes were on Aaron Gundlach coming out. The Abes received the opening kick, and on that first drive, Aaron threw an interception, which did not set the tone for his performance, I will say. Gundlach did an excellent job in his debut. 2 touchdowns, 148 yards. He had a very good performance, able to connect with Ferguson twice in the end zone, like I said, and he was looking very confident. That's what we wanted to see. That's what we were all hoping for, and that practice has been paying off. Gundlach looked like a starting QB on Friday.
Someone else who had a good game was Shimar Simmons with 144 yards and 5 yards per carry.
Yeah, so that is 0.9 yards per carry above his season average last season. He had an excellent game. The Abes went to the ground a lot more than they did in previous years, almost 50-50 on the air and the ground. And that is what, we were talking about that last week. That's what we wanted to see. And Simmons was making the most out of his opportunities, rushing for the Abes' first touchdown of the season. And he just did an excellent job finding space, creating separation. And, we love to see it, just being that powerhouse in the backfield, trucking through people, delivering hits, very aggressive. Love to see it.
As well as Gundlach and Simmons, something that we've talked about in the fast is the fast tempo. And someone who really brought that to the game this past Friday was Aidan Ferguson.
Yeah, Ferguson definitely made his presence known in that debut for his senior year. He had 2 touchdowns, had an interception in the end zone at the end of the first half on defense. He had an excellent game all around. He's currently leading the Wisconsin Valley in receiving yards, just ahead of Zach Shipman of Eau Claire North. So hopefully we're going to keep that up. Ferguson, as usual, setting the trend and definitely giving that offense the shot in the arm that it needed. In that first half, by and large, the pieces were fitting. We were seeing that we were outpacing Hudson's defense, just kind of making sure that we were motoring downfield while they were still trying to get their bearings. It was a very effective system in that first half, and it was a 1-score game going into it, 20-28, very different than what we saw last season. However, as those of you who have watched the game will know, that second half was a very different story for the Abes and not one for the better. Hudson came out with the proper adjustments to take on our fast tempo offense, and we were unable to match pace. The Abes just getting outplayed in that second half, losing 28-0 essentially in those last 2 quarters, and it really spoke to where stamina is an absolute must, especially going forward.
Hudson scored 14 points in each quarter, so they were clearly very consistent with their tempo.
So offensively, Hudson had it all, they had that all worked out. And defensively, they were able to adjust to our play style, and they were able to kind of clamp down, prevent that scoring run, force Gundlach to throw more incompletions, get a little riskier. And that was reflected in the final score. A very close game turned into more or less a rout in favor of the Raiders, and that's something that we're looking to avoid, particularly against our next opponent, the Chippewa Falls Cardinals. Looking ahead to our home opener this Friday, we're playing the Chippewa Falls Cardinals, certainly no strangers to Carson Park, and the Chippewa Falls Cardinals, a consistently solid program, have enjoyed some upsets as of late.
Those upsets being against Hudson in the last year, first round of playoffs, and then also their opener against Spash this past Friday.
Yeah, and what really stands out to me when it comes to that Stevens Point game is that Stevens Point, an excellent program, had a great season last season. They were outscored by the Cardinals 7-29 in that second half. Spash going into the locker room at half with the lead. However, it was a very different story by the end of the game, and you can definitely draw parallels to that and our game against Hudson on Friday. We also, we were very much in it in that first half, but simply let things slip away, and Hudson just kind of chipped away at the score and ended up shutting us out in that second half. So it's going to be a very similar story. We're going to have a great opportunity here to work on some of that stamina piece. Like we were talking about in that first video, Hudson and Chippewa Falls very similar. They've got a formula and they stick to it. They really like to do that. So when it comes to Chippewa Falls, they are also going to be coming to play in that second half. So making sure we see it through the end, we keep up that high tempo, that's going to really lend itself well to securing the win at Carson Park.
Coach Rickert and the Cardinals have a very predictable but very deadly offense.
Yeah, you said it, and I think that's definitely going to provide something of a challenge for our defense. Last season, it was that double wing and the misdirection option in the backfield. Their run game, they've been running it for just about decades, but it is consistently effective. They ran for 168 yards and 3 touchdowns against us in Week 8 last season, and that's something we're definitely going to have to counter effectively if we are, to keep this one close in that second half. If they're running downhill, we're going to have a very hard time keeping that score close. And then they have a lot of speed on their side this season. They were able to outmaneuver Spash in several key areas, and that goes a long way, particularly in that run-heavy offense. But where that is concerned, I think we have the personnel to counter that. We've got guys like Ryan Schultz, Bryce Hedke, Julius Clark. We have those guys in the corner and safety positions. And I think what's key there is just forcing them inside, getting themselves some help, and then, that kind of cuts down on broken tackles. That'll help temper, those yards after contact, and that's going to go a long way in just battering them down, keeping our defense strong and on top. And it's just going to be very exciting. Coming back to Carson Park, playing an old Big Rivers rival, I'm rather excited to start at home. I don't know.
Me too. Be there.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think, how do you think that crowd atmosphere is gonna, come into play?
Yeah, I think that it's gonna be a pretty big student section for sure on both sides, hopefully. Yeah. But yeah, I think that there's gonna be quite a few people. I think that it's gonna be fairly tense. Well.
I agree. And especially with that first half, in consideration, the Abes, keeping themselves in what could have potentially been a very close game towards the end. If we can just build on that stamina, I think we're in for a really good one here at Carson Park. So be sure to come on down to Eau Claire for that one. We'll see you there. And as always, go Abes.
Hi everybody, I'm Aidan Rickert, Eagle Eyes, Other Guy. If you're interested in more MHS sports content, be sure to check out our TikTok, Instagram, and check out some of the other videos on our YouTube channel. And while you're at it, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more. Go Abes!